He threw open the door to Blue Spot. "Hey, Wally," he said, and as he said it with such arrogance, which sounded so natural coming from his mouth, I could tell it wasn't the first time he said that in that way, acting like Wally was beneath him. "Oh, Hannah, hey," he said. "I didn't see you there." Did I mention I was standing at the counter, visible to anyone, the moment they opened the door? I acknowledged him with a tiny smile, found my money, and dropped it into Wally's wrinkled hand. Wally, as far as I could tell, didn't respond to him in any way. Not an eye catch or twitch or a smile, his usual greeting from me. "Hey, Wally, guess what?" His breath came from just over my shoulder. My backpack was resting on the counter while I zipped it shut. Wally's eyes were focused down, just beyond the edge of the counter, near my waist, and I knew what was coming. A cupped hand smacked my ass, and then he said it. "Best ass in freshman class, Wally, standing right here in your store. Did it hurt? No. Because the question is, did he have the right to do it? And that answer, I hope, is obvious." I knocked his hand away with a quick back-handed swipe that every girl should master, and that's when Wally emerged from his shell. His mouth stayed shut, and it was nothing more than a quick click of the tongue, but that little noise took me by surprise. Inside, I knew Wally was a ball of rage. I swung my backpack over my shoulder and probably whispered, "Excuse me," but when I moved around him, I purposely avoided his eyes. I had the door in sight, ready to leave, when he grabbed my wrist and spun me around. He said my name, and when I looked into his eyes, the joking was gone. I yanked my arm, but his grip was tight. The jerk let go and put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm only playing, Hannah. Just relax." Okay, let's dissect what just happened here. I thought about it the entire walk home from Blue Spot, which is probably why I don't remember which candy bar I bought that day. First his words, then his actions. Statement number 1. "I'm only playing, Hannah." Translation: "Your ass is my play toy. You might think you have a final say over what happens to your ass, but you don't. At least not as long as I'm only playing." Statement number 2. "Just relax." Translation: "Come on, Hannah, all I did was touch you with no indication that you wanted me to touch you. If it'll make you feel better, go ahead. You can touch me wherever you like." Now let's talk about his actions, shall we? Action number 1, grabbing my ass. Interpretation: let me back up and say that this guy had never grabbed my ass before, so why now? My pants weren't anything special, they weren't overly tight. Sure, they were slung a little low, and he probably got a hip shot, but he didn't grab my hips. He grabbed my ass. Alex, am I saying your list gave him permission to grab my ass? No. I'm saying it gave him an excuse. An excuse was all this guy needed. Action number 2. He grabbed my wrist and put his hand on my shoulder. You know, I'm not even going to interpret this. I'm just going to tell you why it pissed me off. I've had my butt grabbed before, no big deal. But this time it was grabbed because someone else wrote my name on a list. And when this guy saw me upset, did he apologize? No. Instead, he got aggressive. Then in the most condescending way, he told me to relax. Then he put his hand on my shoulder, as if by touching me, he'd have somehow comfort me. Here's a tip. If you touch a girl, even as a joke, and she pushes you off, leave her alone. Don't touch her anywhere. Just stop. Your touch does nothing but sicken her. There are some sick and twisted people out there, Alex, and maybe I'm one of them. But the point is, when you hold people up for ridicule, you have to take responsibility when other people act on it. Actually, that's not right. You didn't take me up for ridicule, did you? My name was on the hot column. You wrote Jessica's name in the not column. You held Jessica up for ridicule. And that's where our snowball picks up speed. Jessica, my dear, you're next.